2 minutes, 20 seconds and counting.
Government is not the
5, 4, 3.
Government is wrong.
Okay, stand by.
You didn't build up.
For the first time, the Ebola virus is in the United States.
People are scared. It's a scary disease. Only spreads from direct contact with the person or their body fluids. Only spreads from direct contact.
Let's talk about credibility for a minute.
On May 16, 1997, Bill Clinton apologized for our government's perpetuating one of the most disturbing medical experiments in history, thus ending the horrible government Tuskegee experiment. Our government gave syphilis to hundreds of black men, leaving them untreated until they died. The official reason was that they thought that syphilis worked differently on blacks than whites. In parallel, Lyme's disease, a super syphilis, was released on the public in 1975 in Lyme, Connecticut, just across from the government's then secret Plum Island bioweapons facility.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics. There have been widespread concerns that mercury-based preservatives in vaccines might impair the neurological development of children. These new studies suggest that the opposite, that the preservatives may actually be associated with improved behavior and mental.
Make sure that every single traveler who leaves the countries where Ebola is spreading gets screened for fever, gets screened for fever, gets screened for fever. And CDC teams are on the ground and have made sure that that happens 100% of the time. Two different processes. One is a questionnaire where a series of questions is asked. A questionnaire where
Fill out a questionnaire? Wait, that works, right? What? Come on. The guy just diagnosed slipped through. That's just great. So you are telling me that he lied on his questionnaire? Are you telling me that the first guy diagnosed in the US forwarded a bulletproof method of fever monitoring using ibuprofen and lying? Doesn't sound bulletproof to me. Sounds more like a Mongolian clusterfuck. But we can trust the CDC, right? After all, we give our children vaccine shots per their studies and recommendations. They hid autism links to vaccines, and the whistleblower was rewarded as well? God help us. Does Mongolia universities give out doctor degrees in clusterfuck?
Our approach at CDC is always to tell people more rather than less. We're going to tell you what happens, when it happens. When we don't know something, we'll tell you that as well. We level with people because that's the most important way, and that's the most effective way to get the information across and to get people to understand what we need to do and what we need to do. And the fact is that what we need to do here.
They feel that the administration has misled a lot of people on a lot of things. Why should we believe you when you're telling us this stuff?
Paramedics for the Ebola patient in Dallas were not informed by the CDC, and the ambulance and crew continued on, likely contaminated with the infectious virus. Cleanup crews were not wearing protective gear as they cleaned the Ebola vomit from the sidewalk and street.
When he first came in and said, I don't feel good, and they said, yeah, take some antibiotics, go home.
Thanks a lot, douchebag.
Thank you.
At the dawn of the 21st century, the Army began a top-secret experiment.
Meet Joe Bowers, our first subject for the human hibernation experiment. As you know, this is highly classified. However, if successful, we believe humans can be stored indefinitely.
However, the trial run was prone to human error.
See you in a year.
And Joe slept slightly longer than expected. Half a millennium, to be exact. From Mike Judge, creator of Office Space and Beavis and Butthead.
Oh my God! Oh.
If you were the smartest person in the world...
This goes in your mouth. This one goes in your butt. Hang on a second. This one goes in your mouth.
And we're stuck with the dumbest people in history.
If you have one bucket that holds 2 gallons and another bucket that holds 5 gallons, how many buckets do you have?
2?
What would you do?
Excuse me, I'm actually supposed to be getting out of prison.
You're in the wrong line.
I'm the smartest guy in the world? Says who?
The IQ test you took in prison. You got the highest score in history.
Even smarter than President Camacho.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America!
In the year 2505,
We got this guy. He's gonna fix everything. So you smart, huh?
the ordinary will be considered extraordinary.
I thought your head would be bigger.
Idiocracy.
For the smartest guy in the world, you're pretty dumb sometimes.